So you've taken the time to study and take all the tests. You've bought all your equipment. You've gotten all your rewards. It's time to help the common public. And something bad happens, some catastrophe. Somebody rolls up on your repeater that you've put a lot of time and investment money into. You're struggling to invest and find those to invest in what's going on. And somebody calls for help. They're not licensed. What do? Do you help these people in their time of need? They show up out of nowhere, and they need your help. They need your resources because they didn't prepare themselves. All they did was they ordered one of these, and they figured it out. They know your CTCSS input. They know your repeater offset. They don't care to take the license or the test. Take the test to get the license. All of a sudden, they have the privilege, the same privilege that you work for, that you studied for. You've achieved everything, and they expect to get the same privilege that you work for. Where have they been all this time? Why did they only do this when you've done everything else you worked hard for? Why are they allowed to drive a car without a license or insurance? Is there going to town rig a beater with a heater, minimum insurance, limited liability, or are they driving around in a brand new electric vehicle, full coverage insurance, to cover themselves when they make mistakes, or somebody else makes a mistake and causes an accident? Did they actually follow the rules of the road? Same thing with a truck driver. You have to have a particular kind of license to operate. Without it, that's fines. They'll shut you down. Maybe it's jail time. I don't know. Depends on how bad it is. How many people did you run over? Do you have a license, registration? Excuse me. I'm having to fight my dryer this morning. It's a little finicky. Same thing with flying a plane. Are you licensed? About a boat. You have to have registration for your boat. It also involves a license, and it allows you to operate a certain kind of radio. Same thing for the railroad. You have to be licensed. You gotta know how to run the darn thing. How many thousands of tons is that you're responsible for?
All right, got PO86 coming into Main Street Station now.
There's the working man now.
525 will fall in across
So you expect to buy one of these and get help when you need it. Are you allowed to travel without a driver's license behind the wheel and insurance? No, there's regulation for that. There's a lot of people that believe they can, and it's just not going to happen. There's a lot going on out there that people just aren't getting ready for. They aren't taking the time to learn something. It doesn't take much. Now, there is a difference. Do you understand the difference between this and this? There's a little difference. How about the difference between this and this? There are differences. Why does that matter? Well, it depends on the application. Look at all of this. All of this is different. All of it takes practice. And as much practice you put into these things, you might as well go ahead and just take the test. Because by the time you learn all this stuff, you should be able to pass the test easily. Or you might as well just stick to this. Because you don't need a license for that. It's all blanket license now. Same thing with your cell phone. Relatively speaking. You bought into a radio service. It has a blanket license. You pay a handsome 2-year contract, or you're paying for a prepaid phone. You're paying for, well, if you qualify for ACP and you've got an Obama phone, somebody's paying for it. How do you like that? Thanks, by the way. I've got a prepaid phone right over there. But still, it's all being paid for. It's a blanket license and anybody can use them. Dial 911 if you need help. Would you steal a car if you need to go to the hospital? Do you need a car that bad? Licensed or not? Probably call an ambulance. The volunteer, do they go put out fires in a borrowed car? Maybe. But it's more appropriate to use the correct apparatus, I understand. And they're trained on it. They're licensed in a certain degree, I'm sure. Same with the police officer. They check for license and registration. We all got to have it. It's rules we need to follow. Are they jerks for asking you for a license and registration on your vehicle? If your tag expired, did you pay your ad valorem tax on your car? Did you pay your income tax, your federal income tax? There's all sorts of things that we all have to do. In a manner of speaking, we don't like it all. We don't like the over-regulation. I understand that. But there is some minimal things that we should be doing as citizens, at least here in the States, to do what we want to do, let alone what we need to do. I understand. People are mad. People are mad at each other for various fill-in-the-blank reasons. But as far as amateurs go, a proficient amateur who practices and improves, self-regulates all the time to become better at what they're doing, to be ready to help somebody when they need it. And it's not just the amateurs. You're not, just because you're prepared doesn't make you a conspiracy-fearing, zombie-killing, vigilante prepper. No, it's just regular, everyday stuff. You got to take care of yourself and your own, then your neighbors. They would appreciate that, but you can't help them until you've helped yourself. You yourself need to be ready. And one of those tiny aspects is taking and passing the test. And you cooperate with the, neighborhood, hometown, other operators, and you get to know them, they get to know you. You show up, non-licensed, and expect to, help, either to help or get help. They don't know you from, I don't know, anybody. Fill in the blank. Do you expect them to help you and not get mad? The sad ham comes out. They have worked hard. Look at helping your neighbor. You're leaving the state, and you've got a load of goods. You're carrying, I don't know how many 1,000 pounds on your twin-axle trailer and dually pickup truck. You're going to help somebody. You paid for all that product. That's fine. Making somebody mad, whether you know it or not, whether you care or not, you essentially eliminated the shipper. That truck driver out there trying to make his money. You bypass that guy. That's his bread and butter. That's his family that he's got to feed. Her family. Even if they're single, that's their livelihood. They're regulated by the FMCSA. They have licenses and insurance and all sorts of rules they got to follow. But average Joe loaded up his fill-in-the-blank trailer and truck. They're not regulated. How much are you actually getting away with? Bills of lading, that has to be a record of what's on the vehicle. No matter if it's hazmat or not. It could be toilet paper for all we care. Commodities, interstate commodities, regulation. And as a regular citizen, Class C driver, maybe at best, with minimal experience behind the wheel and towing a trailer with additional weight, now you have usurped everything in the name of helping distant neighbor. That's great. Are you vetted? Are you experienced? Are you really surprised that they don't want you there? No matter how much you want to help, no matter how much you have. That's a little different from those amateur pilots that are out there dropping food and picking up passengers. At least they're vetted. They're licensed. They have something to risk for arrest. How much did you risk? Driver, license, and registration? Do you have a bill of lading for all that you've got? You have proof that you bought this? Let alone proof of what you're going to do with it when you disperse it, when you get there? Where are you going? Are you allowed to go in there with all that product? No wonder they're taking it. FEMA might be broke, but they're intimidated by the volunteer that is bringing in stuff for free. You're taking their credit for one thing. Yeah, they look bad. They look irresponsible. They can't pay for what needs to be done. They're broke. But I think you're making it look even worse. You're just making people mad. I get where you're coming from. You want to help. You want to supply. You want to take care of those that didn't necessarily take the time to make sure that they had enough in their pantry to take care of themselves. Or, sure, it all got washed away. They have nothing to eat, nowhere to go. It's a lot like the guy that built his house on the rock and the other guy that built his house on sand. One of them fell. Is it really a matter of what you do or don't do? Is it a grasshopper and the ant situation? One works, the other one doesn't, just consumes. I don't know. Whatever happened to all those old stories, those old fables and tales? Have we forgotten about those things? What about the internet dependence? Got to have the cell phone and the internet, the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. It works great as long as it works. And then when it doesn't, what's left? Or it could be a lot of this. And this is just a drop in the bucket. This is a tiny, tiny example of what you could do. You could be stuck with one of these. Talk to that truck driver you just made mad because you're doing his job. I guarantee you he's not going to be any easier on you than the sad ham. They're going to be rough. And you might go away crying. It's okay to volunteer and get things done. And there's ways of going about doing that. And some of that is by license. Some of it is by following the rules. Cooperation. Preparedness. Get ready. Yep. People lose stuff, especially in catastrophe. I tell people all the time, I've lost everything 4 times. You get back into the game eventually. It all comes to pass. You're never stuck there forever. You always come out of it one way or another. But a lot of us take time we take tests. This is part of being prepared. You test yourself. You see if you're ready or not. And you practice over and over again. And there are achievements. There are awards. There's congratulatory, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Pat yourself on the back. There's time in the limelight. That limelight gets hot. You're 15 minutes in the limelight, it gets hot, and you're under pressure. And I've been reminded the internet is forever, permanent. So if all this is permanent and you're trying to make a name for yourself, or you want to be remembered, or you want to do all that good, you want to be a vigilante, you want to change the world, learn how. Find the people that can help you do that. Make yourself a better self. Improve. Take the test. The test isn't that hard. And then advance. It gets a little harder. People do it. Children do it. Imagine being outranked by a child, a 12-year-old, an extra class 12-year-old, because they took the time to study and pass the test. Some of them are out there doing code as fast as anybody else. Faster than the fastest person that can text a text message. Just take the time. Somebody will call you a sad ham. But that's because we know they didn't take the time or the effort to accomplish anything other than buy into something. How much did you pay? No, really. How much did you pay? This used market stuff is cheap. And all you got to do is find it. I could buy a dozen of these, for the price of one of these. But as old as this stuff is, 30 years old, the quality, the difference in quality is immense. You know, do you know what these sound like? Do you know what you sound like? I know what I sound like. I get accused all the time of having a hot microphone, and I got to back off. I can't talk so close to the radio, but I guarantee you can hear me. I guarantee it. I don't have to repeat anything. Can you hear with this? I know it's difficult in a quiet room. What about a noisy environment? Oh, you can get headphones and speaker mics and stuff. You get exactly what you pay for. Take the test, take the time, and get ready. William, K4ARX, nothing to hide, American Radio X-Ray.